Alright, welcome back. We're going to do episode 6 of the SOG Survival Campaign. We are still in the night of day 2. A lot of day 2 we're going to kind of skim over. We do a lot of just base handling stuff, which we've already done a lot of. We're getting ready to, this will be episode 6, episode 7, we're going to push out into enemy territory. Nighttime. There's not a lot of, we have some small skirmishes, there's not a lot of enemy attacks, and we handle it pretty well. Gonna go ahead and get our personal area set up here. Getting a little better. Get our lighting and everything for our weapon mounts. Definitely need to place more sandbags. When you're doing it by yourself, it can take a minute to maybe even take a couple days to get all of your defenses properly set up, as well as your little Alamo positions. Alright, now we just need our sleeping bag. We need a spot to chill, you know? Somewhere, I want to put this somewhere where it's not going to get stepped on. I'm tired of having boot prints on my fucking sandbag because these dudes don't know where to patrol. And you gotta have a chair. The chairs that you'll find at base are all compatible with the ace sitting action. There we go. In between attacks, you know, you can chill, let your fatigue go down. Just hang out a little. Gonna hit the morning of day 2 here, and we're gonna try to just defend up until about 10 or 11 o'clock, right before it ticks over into day 3. Usually if I'm gonna get off the server, I'll get to about 10 or 11 o'clock, because when you restart the server, that's around the time where it will set it. And then once it hits 12 o'clock, you'll go into day 3. So I want to log off before I get to day 3. That way I don't skip day 3 by getting back on the server. That hurt. So this little skirmish is pretty fun. I get that MAC-10 submachine gun, and my first time being able to really use it, and I really like it. I'm a big fan of a lot of the submachine guns in this DLC. It doesn't start off well for me. I take a round right in the chest. Just like most of the SMGs, your aiming reticle will be pretty tight. It's not hard to keep the recoil managed, and you can kind of watch the tracers and see where your rounds are hitting. The fully automatic setting is really quick on this MAC-10. It'll really just dump your whole 32 round magazine. The semi-auto is cool. It's more accurate than you think it would be. But this enemy coming over the southern hill, like, they're well within 100 meters, so it's definitely suited for this kind of work. Got them coming from the southwest now, as well as the southeast. But the AI is doing pretty well. We're giving them hell. I feel like sometimes my AI units can defend themselves in a competent way, and other times they just get their shit pushed in, and I can't seem to keep them alive. Although they are still working with some lower end equipment. As the days go on, we'll get some better guns for them. So they're not quite ready to be left alone. That's why I'm waiting until day 3 or so, at least, before I leave the base and let them kind of defend on their own while I go out and try to attack the enemy in their own territory. Because I just don't think I can leave them alone right now and them survive a substantial attack. Even when they do have better guns, I'm skeptical. Our guys have bolt-action rifles and double-barreled shotguns. It's better than nothing, but the enemy still has better weapons than they do right now. And that's saying something, because the Viet Cong aren't the most well-equipped military force, to be sure. Yeah, I think we got them this time. There we go. And for anybody who's been watching the series, been keeping up with the episodes, I mean, hell yeah. I appreciate you watching. If you like it, leave a like or a comment or something. Hopefully, as it goes on, I'll be able to improve the editing and the voiceovers and stuff, and it'll be able to get more interesting. Right now, it's just kind of like a video log of me testing and updating this mission. You'll see in the next episode, I've got some bugs that we have to handle and how we're going to fix those. We'll talk about how we're going to update it and, try to improve it. Before we head out, though, I do want to talk about the database. So this is my server. And in your server or in your own mission files, it'll look very similar to this inside of your INI DBI2 files. So each player will have their Steam ID and they'll have their own little file here. So you can see like their name, their food and water levels. The loadout is whatever the items they had on their person. Badges, right now are not automatic. You have to type those in. So I give myself or other players badges depending on what they do in the mission. You can do it custom. Death Dealer, I give like a level for every 100 kills. So whatever you feel like. Vehicle kills are kills that you get while in a vehicle. And weapon kills, it's actually tracking how many kills you have with each weapon, the same way vehicle kills are. And if I destroy a vehicle, I'll get a stat for that as well, if I destroy like an enemy vehicle. The cooldown is a variable for like how long it takes for your recruited units to get to the base, every time you recruit units, that number goes up and it takes longer for them to get there. All of these numbers you can change live at any time. Like even if the server's running, I can change some of these. The day, that's like what day it is. Default, sometimes we'll get some spillover data that don't worry about default. You don't really need to mess with that. Index is a file that keeps an index of like all the different key names in some of the bigger files, so they're easier to index or search. Inventory, this file holds all the inventory of the objects that we're saving, like vehicles and boxes, stuff that we're keeping up with their inventories. We have it all right here. And how we're going about, like I've updated how we do the inventory recently. It might change again soon. So life count, if you've lost too many lives for respawning, you can reset that number. If it goes to 0, it'll result in mission failure. If that happens to you and you want to keep playing on your save file, just change the life count. Marker pods, that is the persistent save for the enemy groups that are running around. Each area, like town or position of interest, or just each area has its own array of groups that inhabit those areas, and it'll have unique names for the group, what side they're on, how many units are in that group. Like a town unit will have about 30 guys in it. There's different like sentry groups, sniper groups, recon groups. There's different types of groups that have different numbers of units, and it also saves like their location and stuff like that, so you can spawn and despawn them. This one is for objects, so they're object pods is what I call them, but we save persistently individual objects, where they are, their direction, and like their damage, if they're damaged or not. And that's how this is how you can move your base objects and set up your defenses, and it saves where all that stuff is. Or if you like leave a vehicle out in the field, it will remain there because it's saved. Yeah, it's like their name, their location, their class name, their direction, and then the very last number, which most of them is 0, is how much damage it has. So if it's like one of the static M60s, that last number will be 1 because most of mine have been destroyed. So that's how that system is working at the moment. Pool that's actually just the unit pool for the attacking units. All the enemy units that attack the base, that's how many of them are left. Every time they get killed, it subtracts from that. And the wall mounts, the WM1 through 5, those are the wall mounts. And it just saves the data of the wall mounts. So, yeah. Some of that stuff is probably going to change in the future, but if you want to edit some of your own save files, that's kind of the lowdown on how those work. You can just edit those, and just be careful with some of the more intricate ones, like the object pods and stuff like that. But we'll talk more about that in the next episode. That's just kind of a peek behind the curtain there, behind the scenes, I guess. All right, we'll see you in the next one.